Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about a group that has been in the news headlines for at least past 1 decade, but in the recent few months, it has further gained its popularity. The group that we are talking about is referred as Houthis, which are largely operative in the areas of Yemen. Yemen is a country in the Middle East. So let us try to understand who are the Houthis, what is the reason why they have come in the news, what kind of war attack is where they are involved in, and what is going to be the future in the case of Yemen and specifically for the Houthis. Now, before understanding about the Houthis, the area of their operation or from where they ethnically belong to is Yemen. As you can see from this map here, Yemen is a country situated in the southern part of Arabian Peninsula, having a land border with Saudi Arabia largely in the north and a smaller land border in the east with Yemen. The country Yemen itself lies at a very vital juncture, especially from the perspective of maritime trade. If you look at this particular map, we can see it is lying at the junction of two major water bodies, Gulf of Aden lying to the south of the country, and then you have the Red Sea that is lying to the east of the country. And it is because of these two water bodies, you have a vital strait here. As you know, strait is a narrow water passage that connects two large water bodies. So here we have a strait referred as Bab al-Mandab, which is also referred as the strait or gate of sorrow. So Bab al-Mandab is a strategic juncture, strategic strait that is sitting directly in the areas where Houthis are having a stronghold over. So if we try to understand briefly about the history of Houthis, Houthis are a group that belong to a sect called as Jayadi Shia sect. As you know, in Islam we have two major sects. One is Sunni, the countries such as Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, the countries represent what we can call as largely a Sunni Islam, Pakistan also. Similarly, the countries such as Iran, these are the countries, Syria, if we talk about Iraq in the present time, represent the Shia Islam, or we can say we have a dominance of people who are the followers of Shia Islam. Now, within the Shia sect, there is another subsect that is called as Jadi, and Houthis are a group belonging to or practicing the Jadi sect. In terms of their population, they make up somewhere about 35% of the country's population, the Yemen we are talking about. And the rise of the Houthi movement, which also is referred by an alternative name of Ansar Allah, began as an increasing influence of Salafism emerged somewhere in the 1990s due to the Saudi influence in Yemen. That is when we can see the rise of the Shia sect or Shia-led movement against the Salafism. So let us try to understand that why the particular Shia sect is against Salafism and what does the idea of Salafism itself represent. In simple terms, Salafism is an ideology that emerged somewhere in the Saudi Arabia and then it spread over many countries of the Arabian Peninsula such as United Arab Emirates, then you have in the northern Africa countries such as Egypt, Libya, and then further to the Yemen, especially during the presidency of Ali Abdullah Saleh. Now, Salafism in simple terms can be understood is a belief that the most purest form of Islam or most authentic and true form of Islam is those which can be found in the way of living of early righteous generations of Muslims, and these righteous generations of Muslims are known as Salaf. In simple way, Salafs are those people who are both temporally, that means in time, close to both time, closest in both time and proximity, that means geographical proximity, also talking about to the Prophet Muhammad. So the believer of Salafism emphasizes upon the idea that the only way how you can live as a righteous Muslim is by following the way of life of these Salaf. And many Muslims who do not follow these practices, the emphasis of Salafist movement is to convert them so that they start following the ideas of Salafism. Now, in this context, if you look at the religious demographics of Yemen, we can understand that how the this Jadi sect movement or the Houthis movement began. So, 65% of Yemen population are followers of Sunni Islam, Sunni Muslim. 34% is what we can briefly call generally called as Jadi Shia sect, and then remaining 1% is other minorities such as Ismaili Shias, Christian, 12er Shias, some amount of some number of Hindus, very small number, and Sikhs maybe. So all of these make up 1%. So as the influence of Salafism began to increase in the Yemen, the Shia Muslim began to revolt. The reason is because many times the followers of Shiaism reject and curse, sometimes even speak ill of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad, which the followers of Salafism or Salafis see as a pious predecessor. So basically, it is this differences, it is this contradiction that creates a rift and kind of animosity between the Salafism and the Houthis, or largely Shia sect. If you look at the major ideology of Houthis, so the movement began by a leader called as Hussein Badruddin al-Houthi, whose image you can see from the photograph. Somewhere in the 1979, we know that Iran underwent a Ayatollah revolution when the cleric captured the power in the Iran, and Iran became a theocratic Shia dominated country. It is during this time Hussein Badruddin al-Houthi, along with his family, spent a lot of time in Iran and were strongly influenced by the then cleric Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. He used to live in the Qom region of Iran, and then he became very much closer to top leadership of the Iran, and this is something that the Iran has exploited and used it to influence the politics or domestic politics of the Yemen as well. And the example or the evidence of this we can see from the fact that the chant that was given during the time of Ayatollah revolution, it was death to the Israel, death to the America, and same kind of ideology we can see is being inherited by the Houthis as well. The major dictum at which they operate is God is great. Then second is death to America, obviously borrowed from the Iranian propaganda. Second is death to Israel. Then curse on the Jews, obviously referring to Israel again, and victory to Islam. So most of the tenets or ideology of Houthis derive from the this Iranian revolution. Now, obviously, because of the close relationship the Al-Houthi used to enjoy with Iranian government, they had a strong backing of Iran, which began in 1990s and even continue till date. And even we are seeing the increase in the strength of the partnership between Iran and the Houthi group. So before understanding the current situation, we have to have a clear understanding of the timelines of development that has happened in the country of Yemen. Now we know that it was 1990s when under the leadership of Al-Houthi, Houthi movement emerged. But it was during the year 2004 when Houthi movement began to take a larger shape and start to attract a large number of population who began to support this movement, and this then converted into a movement of insurgency. Not only the insurgency was to capture the power, it was also against the pact that the Yemeni government had signed with Saudi Arabia when Ali Abdullah Saleh was the president of Yemen. And as per the Saudi-Yemen pact, what has happened? The influence of Salafism began to increase furthermore. And this was something which was not liked and even detested by the Houthi rebels. So in 2004, they directly come in confrontation with the government forces led by the President Saleh. As a result of this, many of the members of the Houthi rebel group were arrested, captured, and even government put a huge reward on the head of the leader of movement Al-Houthi, that whoever will help in capturing of Al-Houthi will get this reward. During one of such violent clashes, the government forces were able to locate Hussein Badruddin al-Houthi and he was assassinated. Now, due to this assassination, the what you can call as the popularity of Houthi movement began to rise further. However, because of the continuous crushing operation by the President Saleh, they went into slumber at least for 5 to 6 years. In year 2011-12, when the Arab Spring began to take shape in the North Africa as well as Middle Eastern region, Houthis found an opportunity which they had been waiting for many years. It was during this time the Ali Abdullah Saleh was facing a lot of protest, not only from the Houthis but also from the general civilian, because of the authoritarian regime, totalitarian regime he has unleashed on the people of Yemen and has been ruling single-handedly with an iron fist rule, we can say, at least for 30 years and so. So, taking advantage of the situation, Houthis joined forces with the oppositions who were trying to remove Ali Abdullah Saleh. And during this time, again, they began to have a confrontation with the government. However, interestingly, you can see a U-turn that was taken by the Houthi rebels, because in 2015 to 2017 was the time when alliance was formed between the Saleh and Houthi. So you can understand, just few years back, the Houthis were bloodthirsty. They wanted to kill Ali Abdullah Saleh, and now they joined hands because they thought it is a politically opportune moment how they can increase their presence in the Yemen. And how they have increased their presence, the alliance helped a great deal. For example, in the earlier time, as we can see, the green area here refers to the Saudi Arabia and the orange area here refers to the Yemen. Now, the operation of Houthis or the stronghold of Houthis were largely limited to the northern region of Yemen, somewhere along the border of Arabia. That region is called as Sada. So, as soon as the alliance began to take shape, because Ali Abdullah Saleh was fearful that people will kill him or people will depose him, he might face the similar fate as we have seen in the case of Libya of Muammar Gaddafi. So, he was scared, and that is why he also shook hand. As a result of this, due to the cooperation by the Ali Abdullah Saleh's forces, the Houthis were able to expand at a very rapid rate toward south, and in a quick period of time, in a very short period of time, they were able to capture the control of Sana'a, which is the capital of Yemen, situated in the southern part of Yemen. And once they took capture of or took control of Sana'a, what has happened? They claimed that Ali Abdullah Saleh again he began to negotiate with the Saudis, and this negotiation that he began, Houthis considered it as a kind of what you can call as lack of trust or mistrust, and this alliance then broke as he changed the allegiance. So from Houthis he again went back to Saudis, and this was the reason why 1 year later he was assassinated by one of the Houthi sniper. So that is overall history that we can understand took place till since 2004 to 2017, and since largely we can say 2014-15 is the time since the civil war has erupted in Yemen, where various factions, various forces are currently fighting with each other. Due to the alliance with the Ali Abdullah Saleh, Houthi has a strong foothold now in the entire northwestern region of the country. Now, as a result of the civil war that erupted in the country, we know that many countries such as Saudi Arabia, Oman on the other side, UAE is also situated there, Qatar you have. So many countries felt that their security and economic concerns or economic situation might also be challenged. And as a result of this, a Saudi-led coalition was formed to fight against and decimate the Houthi rebels and Houthi faction. Now, the Saudi-led coalition was backed by many Western powers such as UK, US and France, and they launched an extensive air campaign in the Yemen with the aim of defeating the rebel group. A triumphant mindset has been forged, however, among the Houthi fighter, mainly because of a series of victories they have been able to achieve in the last 2 decades specifically. So the civil war that has erupted in the Yemen, now due to the action of the Saudi-led coalition, many areas which were earlier captured by Houthis, from there they have been driven out, and largely from the entire southern part of Yemen they have lost the control, but still they have very strong presence or stronghold in most of the northwestern region. This is the situation that we can try to understand by looking at the map as well. In this particular map of Yemen, the area that is shaded in yellow is the region that is largely taken control over by the Houthis, and interestingly the capital of Yemen, Sana'a, is still now under the control of Houthi rebel. Apart from this, Saudi-backed exile government that was led by earlier you have Hadi after the assassination of Ali Abdullah Saleh, and now we have another president. So this government is operating from the Aden, which is a port town of Yemen, and is backed by Saudi. So this area is under their control. And then you have the control of Al-Qaeda in certain areas as well, especially as we can see in the southwestern part of the Yemen. And then you have the Hadi government aligned forces, their presence in this area as well. The line that you see here, the black lines, are representing the oil fields and pipelines. So Yemen also is having a rich reserve of crude oil and natural gas. Now, as you know that as a response of the as a result of the confrontation in the early period in 2004 between the government forces and the Houthi rebels, the main leader of the movement was assassinated or killed, and after that, since then till now, the leadership of the movement is being exercised by Houthi, the person called as Abdul Malik al-Houthi. Abdul Malik al-Houthi is the brother of the first leader of the Houthi movement. He rarely comes in media, but sometimes he gives what you can call as speeches largely aimed at the supporter or the supporter of the movement. Now, the current situation, if you try to understand in the Yemen, is such that you have the Saudi Arabia-led coalition that is supporting the Houthi government or Yemeni government, which is indirectly backed by US, UK and France, which are supplying weapons and logistical support. You have another small group called as Southern Transitional Council, which is largely backed by the United Arab Emirates. And then the Houthi rebels, as we have discussed before, is having a strong backing of another Shia country, Shia nation, that is Iran. So the fight that we are seeing is between these three major groups. Now, till 2023, or we can say till mid-September or up to September 2023, their main goal or main target was having a control or power over the region of Yemen. However, since mid-September 2023, they have changed their objective and they began to suddenly strike the ships, the cargo vessels which are passing through the Red Sea region, specifically around the Bab el-Mandab Strait. Now, this Houthi attack that suddenly began in the Red Sea have disrupted key maritime routes, and today it poses a great threat to the international economy because a large volume and value of oil and other commodities passes through this region, as this is a popular route which connects the European countries to the West Asia, South Asia, and even to the Southeast and East Asia. So a very vital maritime route. If you try to understand, as you go up north, it is in this route you will find the Suez Canal that connects Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. And if you go further, more to the north, but in the eastern direction, you have the port of Israel, that is Eilat port, that you might be knowing about or aware about. So we'll talk about that as well. Now, as a result of this sudden attack that Houthis caused in the Red Sea region, where they have basically bombarded the ships with lot of drones, missiles, and many times they have even captured the crews of the ships and have asked for the ransom money and all that. So they are also using the tactics of piracy, something that we have seen being used by the Somali pirates, that is also situated to the on the Horn of Africa, slightly to the south of the Yemen. As a result, as a reason they have given that what is the reason why they have started attacking the Red Sea. So one major reason they give is it is a response in the support of Hamas. As you know, in the on the October 7th, 2023, you have the what you can call as the Hamas fighters. They entered the Israeli territory and carried out large-scale massacres. So they believe that any vessel which is having Israeli links will be attacked by the Houthis, and they will continue their attack unless and until Israel ends its assault operation on Gaza or in the Gaza Strip region. Now, due to the disruption that has happened in the key maritime route, the US-led forces backed by many countries such as US, UK, Canada, Qatar, then you have some Scandinavian countries, Portugal, Spain and all, they launched an operation called as Operation Prosperity Guardian. This Operation Prosperity Guardian was a task force created in response to the attacks, and US and British ships have already shot down numerous Houthi drones in the recent weeks. Now, if you look at the steely resolve, even after being continuously attacked, the Houthis have suffered tremendous number of what you can call as the aerial attacks, tremendous number of missile strikes. Despite that, the US Navy and Royal Navy, when they began to operate in the Red Sea areas, many times they have begun to attack, the Houthis have begun to attack these US naval ships as well. In one instances, they have lost around 10 of their fighters and even lost 3 of the ship, and still after this they have kept on attacking the US naval forces in this area. So it basically, experts argue that this kind of resolve, this kind of attitude underscores their prevailing sense of triumph and how strongly they're adhering to the belief in which, the basis of which we are there operating. Now, it has led some members of the group to perceive divine intervention and a historic alignment in their favor. So this is something that we can say is not only guiding the present cadre of the Houthis, but also is attracting large number of young youth to join the Houthi cause. However, one thing we have to understand is that as per the statement or interview given by the UK ambassador to Yemen, Houthis are what he considered as a very warlike, violent and cruel group. The Houthis considered themselves an elite from elite. As you have discussed, the Jihadi sect talk about they considered as an elite sect, and within the Jihadi, the followers of Al-Houthi family are considered as elite of the elite or creme de la creme, as we can say. Now, some of their casual viciousness towards Sunni civilians in central and southern Yemen has been experienced in the way the UK ambassador said that readiness to deploy snipers and kill non-combatants. They are killing civilians simply because they are Sunni. They are followers of Sunni Islam, and this is not for serving certain purposes. This is just for the fun. So that is why we have discussed that they are very violent and cruel in attitude, and because of this, there has been long-standing concerted efforts under the umbrella of United Nations, where the countries are trying or putting their effort to end the civil war situation in the Yemen, however, to no avail. The other question that come into mind, that how genuine is their cause and how genuinely are they accepted by the Yemeni society. Now, especially since they have started taking strong action and have showed their strong opposition to the Western powers such as US, UK, and especially the Saudi-led coalition, and also since they have confronted Israel directly due to its attack in Gaza by launching an attack on the Red Sea area, their popularity among the masses have increased. The example of this we can see is recently a YouTuber from the Yemen went and took selfie or took the videos from the captured ship by the Houthis, and he became instantly popular with a lot of followers in the Yemen. So that is the kind of mass appeal the Houthis have been able to generate in the recent month. However, many experts also argue that it does not mean that they enjoy such an appeal that if a free and fair election is held today in Yemen, they will lose election. Okay, there is a very low possibility that they are going to win any kind of election, because they are popular only in the northwestern region, and 65% of the population anyway you have is the Sunni population, and the anti-Houthi resistance is also lying dormant in many of the areas which is dominated by Sunnis. However, the success of the Houthis can be understood from the fact that they have been able to exercise the fear and intimidation among the masses, and the strategy they have adopted is of by bringing the crowd on the street by launching or announcing a demonstration. And whenever this kind of demonstration is announced, they ensure that there is a holiday from the work. They make sure that the masses is clear to the masses that the attendance is not something that is optional, but rather it is expected and even compulsory in nature. And as this recruitment drive is also which they are using this kind of demonstration, so that a huge number of youth population will come and they will be able to influence this. And they have been able to successful in this approach as well, and this is the reason why the power of Houthis have continuously been on rise. For example, by carrying out such kind of demonstration, it is believed that in the recent month they have been able to recruit as high as 150,000 to 200,000 soldiers in their rank, which is a very significant number. And because of such a huge number of force, what you can call as the recruitment and manpower, in September, Yemen's internationally recognized government, as you have discussed, that is operating from Aden in exile, it said that Western air power, no matter how many attacks they have carried out, especially led by the Saudi coalition, they have failed to weaken the Houthis. Their popularity is continuously being increased, their capabilities is continuously being enhanced, especially due to the overt support and covert support by the Iran. And they also have strengthened their resolve, because the Arab powers who have been continuously fighting against Houthis, they in the recent years decided to move away directly from the conflict and largely focus on their own economic diversification. So Saudi Arabia, UAE, now in the recent years it has been seen that they have decreased the number of attacks that they used to carry out before. Tehran-Riyadh rapprochement we have discussed has happened and due to the backing of China, but despite this rapprochement, we have not seen any decline in the Iranian arms flow to the Ansar Allah. As I told you in the beginning, that Ansar Allah is another name, alternative name given to the Houthi movement. So as you can see, Iran is situated here somewhere along the Persian Gulf and between Gulf of Oman. So it is this maritime route through the Gulf of Oman that is taken by the Irani intelligence agency, we can say, or Irani-backed militias, through which the arms and weapons and drones are being supplied to the Yemeni group. Some experts argue that not only the land route, not only the sea route, but even the land route through the Oman is being used to smuggle weapons and arms to the Yemeni border, which is directly being what we're going to say used by the Houthi rebels. So most inexhaustible supply of drones and other munitions to launch at shipping is something that where Houthis have built and developed their capacity largely due to the Iranian backing. An example of this you also can see in the Russia-Ukraine war, because Russia has largely been using a drone that is referred as Shahid drone on the Ukraine, and this is something which also is provided by the Iran. So same kind of drone is being provided to the Houthis as well. Now the question comes that why Iran is backing strongly Houthis? What is its interest? So the reason is that Houthis now are a part of what Iran refers as an axis of resistance, which means the anti-Israel group of we can say powers that it is trying to build. It composes of Iran, then you have Iraq till Bashar al-Assad. Syria was also part of that and axis of resistance, and the other is Houthi groups that is in Yemen. Again, to remind you, the Iran is largely supported by the Shia-led faction, and Houthis are one of them. Plus, Iran's reliance on the Houthis have increased, and that is why the support of Houthis also have increased, largely because the continuous strike conducted by Israel and the assassination of leaders from the Hezbollah and Hamas, two major powers which were allied with the Israel. Apart from that, the Houthis are also in coordination with Hasd al-Shabi to increase their strength not only in the Arabian Peninsula but also in the Middle East and West Asia. Hasd al-Shabi is a group operating in the Iraqi territory. So now they are trying to increase their foothold, a stronghold in this area as well. To understand this, we can see from the fact that they have opened an office in Baghdad, and they are preparing even the surface to air missile sites in the Yemen with a view to shoot down a Western warplane. As I told you, that Western powers are largely engaged in the aerial strike toward the Houthi territory, toward the Houthi control area. So how Houthis can resist that? The only way is surface to air missile, and there also it is expected that Iran is going to provide a significant Iran is going to have a significant role to play here. Now, how this entire situation is going to unfold in the future? What is the possible fate of the Houthi and Houthi rebels? Now, many experts, diplomats across the world believe that it is very, very doubtful that Houthis will capitulate, they will surrender, they will lay their arms. That is unlikely in nature, because first of all, their strength has increased to such an extent. For last 2 decades, they have been continuously fighting and have emerged victorious. They have a control of the capital city of the country, Yemen. So they do not want to lose this power. And since they have gained immense popularity among the masses, the capitulation will be akin to losing the face. So the only possible, we can see, decline in the operation or the attacks of Houthis can come from the fact if a siege fire is announced in Gaza. Because I told you, the reason why Houthis have began attacking, or at least the reason which they have given, the reason behind attacking the ships in the Red Sea, is because of the Israel's continuous attack on the Gaza. So it will provide them an opportunity to declare victory, claiming that the goal, the objective which they have stated has already been achieved and there is no more need of attacking the ships in the Red Sea region. The second end can be because of the influence of Iran. From very beginning, as we have discussed, Iran has a very vital and strategic role to play in the Houthis fight. So for now, basically we can say Iran's approach seems to be changing slightly, especially after the loss of Bashar al-Assad, the one major ally it has, and also after coming of Donald Trump. Iran is sending the signal it is ready for negotiation and it wants to cool off the tension between the West and the country. So for now, we have to wait, because the situation in the southern Red Sea is in a situation of standoff. And the Houthis do face lingering threats, we can say, obviously, from the internal groups that are operating in the civil war in the Yemen itself, largely if the Saudi Arabia and UAE began to provide again active support to these groups. Now, the question comes that why India should be concerned about the development that is going on in the Yemen or the region surrounding it. So, obviously, we have a predicament. The reason is because the Bab al-Mandab Red Sea Gulf of Aden route is used by the Indian businesses as well, especially for the import of crude oil and gas. And a substantial delay in the shipping export that is being reported because of the risk of the attack, a surge in container shipping rates that we have been seeing because of this. So these delays, many economic experts argue, could basically shave off 20% of India's total export, that stand today somewhere about $200 billion, which currently passes through the Red Sea Suez Canal route. However, India have to walk a very tight diplomatic rope. The reason is because it does not want to put in jeopardy its relationship with Iran, and that is why it faces a strong dilemma. On one hand, obviously, it feels a need to protect commercial shipping from the militant attack in the Red Sea region. And at the same time, it also wants to avoid participating in the military endeavor. For example, the Operation Poseidon or Prosperity that US-led forces have launched, that is meant to fight a politically backed group, especially by powerful countries such as Iran. However, India has made its stand clear when the External Affairs Minister S. Jayasankar visited Iran, where he said that Iran should ensure that the ships passing through the commercial shipping lane in the Red Sea areas are not harmed by the Houthi rebels. So, in the conclusion, what we can say is that the UAE-backed Southern Transition Council, if you remember, in one of the diagram I told you that STC, a Southern Transition Council, is another faction operating in the Yemen and is being provided support by the UAE. So, it has now declared that it will collaborate, it might collaborate with Israel against the Houthis. Now, if Saudi Arabia-led faction also start to collaborate with them, in that case, we can see a further pressure on the resources of the Houthis, and they might then largely shift their stance to protect their own turf rather than engaging in attacking the Red Sea region. So, the southern Red Sea and adjacent Gulf of Aden, however, in the foreseeable future, it seems it will remain a dangerous part of the world for the foreseeable future. So, that is how we can end and understand this entire crisis. Now, I hope through this particular video, you were able to understand a brief history of Houthis, what is the reason behind the rebellion and their movement, what is the current situation, and what is the future that might be possible in the coming time. That is all for this particular video. If you like the video, do please ensure to hit the like button, share it with your fellow aspirants, as well as subscribe to our channel for more such helpful content. Thank you very much.